Looks like we got a new friend!
Welcome to the Scratticus Academy. Today we are back with Realm of the Ancients, which I am super excited about. A few things. First, check out our chat. We're about to throw a load of links in there for our Discord, our Twitter, and all those shenanigans and whatnot. And other than that, this stream is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and also Mage Hand Press. You can also see their links over there, their merch, their PDFs, you name it, it's over there. Go and check it out. Zoom chat, we're talking about Mr. Blobby, and I'm so we're going to head around and say hi to everyone and who we are playing. So let's start off with Meg. Hi, Meg.
Hi,
Sorry.
I'm Meg. I go by she, her pronouns, and I play Marcus, who uses he, him pronouns. I think that's it. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we are going to head down to Shakes. Hello.
Hello, I am Shakespeare, also known as Shakes, and I play, my pronouns are they, them, and I play Zyraxes, whose pronouns are also they, them, and I was traumatized by Mr. Blobby as a child.
I think everyone was.
Yep.
No. Okay, Karen.
Sorry.
And last but certainly not least, hello, Charlie.
Hi, Alice. I am totally going to take the blame for the derailment that led us to Mr. Blobby, because we were discussing how every week before we go live, we get caught up talking about things, and it was a rabbit hole that we fell down, and love to scrap.
We started with Big Bird, because I was describing to this lovely group how much I am terrified of Big Bird.
We started with Hook as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we got to via the Land Before Time. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm Charlie,
wild.
she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Cosima. Also, she, her pronouns are strong. Someone described her as something, and I've already forgotten. I guess strong mum, I think was the description.
Yeah, like strong mum, Cosmo
Strong
strong
mum.
mum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's her full name. That's her Goliath name. Oh, now I want to see what we'd play if we were all D&D characters playing the same characters. Anyway, I'm very excited to be back again this week. I loved running the Dream/Nightmare game that we did, but I'm glad that we're going to get back to the main storyline and see what's going on, because we've been led in lots of different directions. Lots of people are trying to stop us from reaching our goal, I think.
Yes. So we last headed off where Hestia had just found that the cat she had been carrying around with her was in fact Hermes, not a cat at all, but he is the messenger that so many people have been sort of telling this group about. These lovely three here have no idea that Hestia knows that Hermes, the cat, is there. But otherwise, we came back from rescuing Obion from the clutches of Kessa, who has sort of a slave sort of trade, and a lot of other things that was going on as well. So we're going to hop in there, and what would you all be doing? It's sort of coming up to evening time. It's you're sort of, Kessia's not really woken up. She's making some sort of mumbling noises, probably having a nightmare after Zyraxes was the last person she sort of came into contact with. So what would you all be doing?
Watching her.
Just watching her.
Yeah, pretty much. Zyraxes would probably have slept in at like a corner of the room, surrounded by probably wine and snakes. And would not have slept for very long, so has probably been like crouched in their corner of the room, probably like pouring out wine and drawing things while staring aggressively at Kessia. Just like unblinking, creepy, some like, girl from the Ring hair going on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we left Zyraxes as guard dog.
Guard dog.
Yeah.
They've had a hard recent times. They're just like staring aggressively because this is the one thing they think needs attention right now.
Cosima, I'm fairly sure, passed out at the table.
You drink a lot.
Yeah, she had a lot to drink and a lot to think. So yeah, she kind of fell asleep, and then she would be probably stirring, hoping that today will provide answers, because they are sorely in lack. We are certain there's something to do with the East Wind, I think it was called, or the East Winds. I forget what the deity's name was.
Eurus. Was it Euros?
Euros. Yeah.
Euros.
I've got
Who
just a
is-
list of names written down.
It's both the East Wind and the Dawn.
Yes, and we'd found the small pin in Kessa's house, which I believe I gave to Marcus for doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, Marcus.
Good job, Marcus. Good. I mean, Marcus kicked some serious ass with the cult of the Muses, who were not the Muses we'd seen before, but instead actual people that didn't just vanish when you grabbed them.
And something I'll never forget from this campaign, he yelled at a crocodile. So,
It's gonna be like the Marcus scene.
the Marcus
Bad.
thing is him
Bad.
yelling at a
Future
crocodile.
handbag. Bad.
What else have I written down here? Obion is poisoned at the moment, which is seriously concerning, but we did have Hestia do what she could magically, and
Hestia has stabilized him, and Attica is currently by his side.
And there's something I've written down. Muses, men with swelled symbol. Oh, that's because when we revealed the masks, they had this tattoo that was going on. That swelled around them.
Very much like the breath of wind from the coins that were found themselves.
And we looked at a map, and I believe we're going down to someone that either Adgar or Obion knows to try and get a ship, and we believe that maybe we'd already been to where we were trying to get to, but we had been kind of pushed away and swirled around by forces beyond our control.
The map seems to direct you to something that doesn't exist, almost in the middle of the ocean. There's nothing there, nothing is recorded there.
There's the hand.
There is
in the
hand.
bottom of the ocean.
I think everyone. So what is Marcus doing right now? Is everyone?
Marcus is. He feels pretty like. Not useless, but he's trying to make himself useful just because he feels like so many of the other people have things that they're doing. So he's essentially just kind of walking around, occasionally checking in on Obion when Hestia isn't there to watch him, and like changing the rag that they're using to keep his temperature down, I think it was what we said. And also like maybe even checking in with people occasionally to make sure nobody's hungry.
Yeah, you sort of see every now and again when you pop your head in the room to Obion, Adgar is asleep. She's been up for so long with worry. She's holding his hand, and you can come over and just replace that sort of the cooling aid that is on Obion's forehead now and then. And Zyraxes, as you're staring at Kessia, you see her eyes sort of flutter open a little bit, and she looks up at the ceiling, looks confused for a moment, and sort of sighs, and then just like lets her head loll to one side and sees you, and boy does she jump. She jumps, she sort of scurries backwards almost like an animal into the corner and just stares at you, Cosima, who's drunk on the table, and maybe Marcus, you're going in and out of the rooms. Wait, like you can see she looks more panicked because there's only Zyraxes that seems focused on her. There is no one else watching Zyraxes. It looks like they're more fearful of that than anything else.
Marcus will kind of like, when he hears wait, he'll just like stand there and kind of like look. Like, what? He has literally gotten used to Zyraxes.
Yeah. So, wait, you can't, don't leave me with, don't leave me! Like, and just points, just without words.
Oh, okay. And Marcus comes back over and kind of sits next to Zyraxes.
Zyraxes is still like staring dead at her. Eyes have not moved. They have put down like the bits of goblet and wine amphora they probably shattered and were using to carve weird things in the floor, and have just like placed their hands flat on the ground and are just still staring at Kessia.
And Marcus kind of like looks at Zyraxes for a second and is like, well, maybe we should ask her some questions.
You're not gonna hurt me, are you? I mean, I wasn't. I didn't mean to do anything terrible. I mean, I was just there. I was following orders.
You were. What were your orders exactly?
Look, my husband wanted to bring Obion back. He was a madman towards the end. Just leave it. I'm sorry about the whole slave thing. It's my business. I just that she could see it's just making things worse, and she's like, I'm gonna be quiet.
Marcus will kind of like reach back and kind of like very gently pat Cosima to try and like wake her up, so that like there's someone else here besides just him. And so kind of like that, and at the same time also addressing her like, mad near the end. What do you mean by that?
No, look. My husband was spouting gibberish towards the end about something. I don't know what it is. He's just he spoke to people. He believed in prophecies. He had visions. He had weird things. Okay, and this is what he thought he had to do to solve the problem or find it. And we talk about bloody finding it.
Find what was he looking for? Do you know?
They were looking for those people, the masked ones, the muses. They're not proper muses. They're not muses. I don't know what they are. They're looking for something that doesn't even exist. He's wasting his life on an obsession, and now he's dead. I'm husbandless on my own. Do you know what it's like for someone in my state to try and get by and survive on their own?
Strangely, yes. Cosima is just real tired right now. She wakes up and there's this babbling.
Yeah.
And she kind of basically like sits up as if, an oak falls down one way in the forest and it just magically like levers itself back up the other way. And she turns and looks to this woman. I believe she's in a circle of blood that Zyraxes has drawn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And she looks at Cosima because as Cosima stands, it's like it's the first time she's seen Cosima in like light, like other than
Hermes has a message to deliver.
Yeah, Hermes, I have a message. What's a black cat? Anyway, Cosima stands full height. Okay, we're gonna calm down now. So Cosima stands fully, and you realize how much smaller Kessia is than you. And she sort of looks up at you, and you can see her shrink back a little bit more, even more so than she was. And he thought Obion could give him information or something, okay? My husband was a fool.
You took our
Dead fool.
freedom. What is it that your husband sought?
He's chasing a crazy dream about a book. I don't know what the book is he seems to believe in, and then he started just mumbling about having to find the Library of Alexandria. We know that doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. Okay.
Zyraxes just like turns to look at Marcus because Marcus.
Marcus.
That's word association in their head.
Yeah.
They just
Marcus looks back at Zyraxes and is just like really excited at the words Library of Alexandria. He's like, do you think it's real? Like at Zyraxes.
Everything is real. Nothing is. And their head just snaps back around to look at Kessia.
And Cosima, in her continued impression of Zyraxes, is like the book, the messenger, and just going through the various instructions and clues we've received about things like about the place where where the GM has words with her cat.
Sorry.
We're just going to discipline the god of messages.
She's seen a ghost. I thought Scrap must have appeared at the door the way she just looked up. She's like,
Yeah.
And Alice, because I haven't written it down in my book, or if I have, I can't find it right now. What is that exact phrase that we were given about they reached for the sky?
Yeah, there you go.
Where they reach where the dead reach for the sky and they navigate by the stars, and then there's something seek us where our voices sound and the king's words. But I literally just wrote down king's words, which wasn't helpful.
Yeah, I thought I'd written down the whole thing, but I can't find it anywhere in my book.
I've definitely written "Seek us where our voices sound."
Come seek
And
us
then-
where our voices sound. Let's have a look.
And then I've got King's Words, which I think
You
we've heard
should-
before.
Hmm.
To the place where the king's words lie. If I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Tell us more of this book. I don't care if you believe in it or not.
I don't know what the book is. I don't know what it is. He just said it had magical words or something in it. I don't know.
Marcus, what do you know of this library?
There's not a whole lot to know, honestly. It's more of a myth of something lost to time, maybe. Oh, sorry, that's scary. But it's more a myth lost to time. Scholars speak of this library that just contained so much knowledge that we have like no idea like how to even start scratching the surface. And if we could get our hands on that kind of information, that would change everything. And he just like keeps babbling about it, like beyond the point of answering your question.
How did your husband come into contact with the false muses? Cosmo's trying to like organize and trying to think rationally, and this is not her strong point. She is trying so hard right now.
Yeah. He told me they just turned up one day. He's always had this fantasy about the Library of Alexandria as if it's a real thing. Stupid fool. And you can see her mutter a little bit as she said, whether he dug too deep, whether he... I don't know. The muses aren't supposed to be physical. Muses are supposed to be phantoms, not people in masks. And the Library of Alexandria, he used to just say, was the shrine of the muses. It was protected and kept by the muses.
People do use the faces of others, the liberties of others for their own ends.
Tell me about it. We have hit 10 retweets.
Hurrah!
So, Cosimo 1, Marcus 2, Zyraxes 3. Let's go look. Okay, there we go. Ah. 3. So Zyraxes, could you please roll me a 1d100, please?
Yes, of course. Oh, it's like 2 points off a joke. Okay.
2 points off a joke. Oh, okay. You can see something. This is you, Zyraxes. You can see something in her pocket that she seems to more like fiddle with nervously. This is your trinket, and it's almost like a brass or a gold, or it's something. It's almost a very shiny material. This isn't a material that you've probably ever seen before, and this delicate. But she's like playing with it. It's almost like it's attached by a piece of leather, and she's playing with it nervously.
Did you say it was shiny?
Yes.
Ooh. Because this has caught their attention, and in a way that has like drawn their focus. I'm gonna say that normally shiny things are basically repulsive. Like, this is one of the reasons they have like a thing with water, because the glitter. Shiny things just like make something in them completely turn away. This, for some reason, which means they will attribute it to their god, because that's what they do with everything, has actually caught their focus, and they feel drawn to it rather than repulsed by it, which will cause them to go skitting across the floor like a chimpanzee on cocaine to basically take it from her. Just
Yeah, you can easily snatch this from her.
and
As Zyraxes moves, Cosma, I think, is gonna turn away, fairly afraid what Zyraxes might be about to do, to be honest. She has witnessed Zyraxes do many things, and she has a headache, and there's a lot to think about. and she trusts Marcus to disseminate any interesting information. And she's actually going to go kind of out the back door to kind of try and ground herself and try and figure out what is really important here. 'Cause she's literally just woken up and suddenly there's like a whole interrogation going on, and there's a lot to think about. So she's going to disappear outside for a moment with her quartz statuette.
Yeah, you can head out and go sober up. And Zyraxes, as you snatch this off, you sort of look, and it's shiny, but not, it's almost like a muted shiny. It's nothing like crystal, it's nothing glittery. It's this metal sphere with glass in the center. Almost like a disc.
Like, they're just kind of crouched in their creepy squat next to Cassia, because they haven't pulled back or anything, just holding this in both hands and kind of examining it, kind of twitching their head, like they'll see it from a different perspective if they just move their head.
Yes.
And are kind of engrossed in it, trying to figure out why they picked it up.
Kessia, for a moment, Marcus, you see that she looks like Kessia's gonna say something, but retreats. And Zyraxes, as you sort of tilt your head and look, as you look through this glass, it's like everything magnifies.
There's kind of a soft kind of sound, and they just kind of, their head just turns, and they're like looking straight at Cassia from like this distance away now, just like.
Yeah, and she's leaning back.
Marcus kind of looks at Zyraxes and starts to say, "What is that?" And then kind of shakes his head and then looks at Cassia and goes, "What is that?"
And Kessia looks at it. It's just like a magnifying glass for when I look at maps and for when I just look at things. And then realizing what she's doing, gesturing with her hand, she sort of retracts it very quickly, almost to behind her back.
Zyraxes will kind of shift their hands so they're holding it like that, and we'll just lift it to look at Cassia through the magnifying bit.
Yeah, you see that warped, like, large nose, eye, ear, as it sort of, like, turns around. She's like, yes. Look, how long are you going to keep me here? Like I said, I don't know much about this. I told you he met crazy prophet, one of and then he started spouting about these muses, something about titans and something about stories, and then it was the end of him. It was the end of him. Can I go home now?
And Zyraxes just kind of lowers the magnifying glass and kind of goes, "No, I was." The end.
Oh.
And the creepy smile just creeps up.
Marcus will kind of look at Cassia and be like, "Look, you might think all of this sounds completely crazy, but I've seen some crazy things the past couple days, and if you could just tell us literally anything about where he went, like how he met these people, like where they go, anything at all, it would be really helpful."
He believed Obion had been there before, that's why he wanted him. It was just further along the coast. Just further along. About a day, 2 days walk. And he was set that Obion would tell him where it was, or if Obion wouldn't tell them where it is, then he'd take him with him. He just knew it was in a small port town. He didn't even know the name, but I can circle it on a map. I don't even know if it has a name yet. It's tiny. So
the map is in here, right?
You would have had that, yeah.
Yeah. Marcus kind of like when she says she could circle it on a map, he grabs the map and kind of holds it up to her and points at like where it might be and says, "Is this it?"
and you're circled like over the water. And she's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but that's where he was going, and just on the coast,
Oh.
just underneath. She's like, there.
Just
That's it.
the
That's it.
parallel.
That's it.
If I remember, sorry, this is kind of meta because I'm not there, but if I remember last time, we'd had a discussion, I think, with Aga, and we discussed going south about a day.
Yeah. And it is the
But
same.
I can't remember how we figured that out or why.
You know that there's this small sort of growing town, almost village, like off the coast, sort of further along from where you are. You go out of the city and you travel a day, maybe a bit more. It would be a day by like cart or horse or whatever it is. And the thing that you have pointed out on the map before, or that technically Hermes had pointed out with his little paw print, was in the water.
Yeah.
When Cassia, like, presumably gets up to go over and look at the map, because I presume it's on a table or something, Cyraxes is just standing up and, like, looming behind her.
Yeah, she feels it. You can see her, like, edging away from you every time you just get that little bit too close.
There's very much the sense that Cyraxes is kind of waiting for, you know, the talking bit to finish.
And she's sort of like looking over at you, and she's got this sense that the Zyraxes will be upon her if she doesn't keep talking. And she's sort of, it's like she's searching for something to say. The muses, like I said, not real muses, because the muses, they protect the library. They wouldn't guide someone there. They wouldn't. That's how I know they're not real muses. At least that's what the story said. I don't know. He was going crazy towards the end. What? I don't know what to do about that.
He said something about, or I heard him say something about a messenger. Do you know what he meant by that?
Oh, I don't know. A messenger. I thought that was one of you lot.
Okay.
We have to find the messenger, the traveler. We have to find lots of things.
Right. And I wish you all the luck in the world. She's sort of like, she doesn't back up or anything, but she's trying to be like a little bit smilier about it.
Cyraxes will kind of lean in and you're like, is that all you have to offer, then? Is it done, then?
I don't know. You can see she's more saying, I don't know, whether she doesn't know if she wants to say yes, more than anything else.
On the boat, you said you knew me, you knew like me. You know who I serve, you know who I live for.
I do.
Do you know how I serve?
I do not. Though we can spot your kind a mile off.
I worship in wine and mead and blood. Do you remember how we met? Do you remember what you did to my offering?
I gave you honey.
You defiled my offering. I drank and drank deep, and you ruined it! And Cyraxes is right in her face. Like they are a hair's breadth from touching.
Yeah, she like leans back, and you can see she's a quivering mess at this point. I did as I was told to do. That is what my husband asked of me.
I do what I am told to do, and your husband lies in a field of blood.
That he does.
My God did not talk to me. Maybe he will talk over you. Over your body in the field.
Perhaps.
And Xeraxes just reaches out and puts their whole massive, still like dried blood caked hand over like the whole of her face. And there's that kind of sense that the hand is flexing. And then
As you do this,
they just push.
as you do this, as that skin touches skin, you stand alone in the room. It's as if no one's here anymore. There is blood on the floors where you've drawn the circle. There is wine spilt on the floor. There are small crumbs of cheese and bread at the side, but the house is empty. You stand alone.
Xeraxes will just sit down.
What happened? Where'd she go?
Oh, she's still there to you. They are
Oh.
still there holding the face of Kessia, who is whimpering. But Xeraxes, you see nothing. And as you sit down on this floor, the house around you disappears, and you feel almost like you're on a cart. But it's a rushing sensation. You speed through this trail, this track, this out of the city of Memphis, down a dirt trail, past these smaller villages, out further. And then you hear seagulls, you smell that salt of the sea, and you see a port. And then you're underwater, deep water, dark water. That giant hand is reaching up for you again. But this time, you float in the darkness. You can breathe. You don't feel like you have that sense of dread so much from the water. You don't feel it. It doesn't feel like you're underwater, but you can see it. And that hand moves up for a moment. And then you see it reach down. You can look down into this darkness as the hand touches the side of what can only be described as like a rock ravine under the water. And then another hand reaches up and does the same. And pushes this huge body of a creature up. And looks up at you, this huge face, this almost human-esque face, but not quite. There's something wrong with it. You don't know what it is. As it rushes up towards you. And it breaks the surface of the water. And you feel it past you that you are minuscule compared to this. You may be as big as, like, you'll be smaller than the thumb of this creature. As it rises up out of the water, you feel that almost like a tidal wave as you rise up and down. And then you wake up. You're holding Kessia's face. She seems to stand. She shakes a little, but her face is as stone.
Xeraxes will pull their hand away and just stare at her for a second before leaning in. You said Titan.
I did. Well, my husband did, but yes, Titan.
More. What else did he say? What else is there?
Well, actually, he said Titans. But I don't know.
And Xeraxes will just stare at her for a second, and the hand will twitch. And then they just completely dismiss her and turn to Marcus and just move right into Marcus's space. Like, Titans below. They said they came from underneath.
Titans.
This is
Like
Titans.
the big hand I saw. I was underwater. I saw a giant hand.
Yes. that
Mm.
one. Twice now. Seen that. Titans. They must not awaken. That's what it said. That's what they said. But they were... The muses are liars. Are the muses liars? The muse told me. But I don't know.
It might be like she said that the muses at the house were different. Well, she doesn't know that we saw the muses before, but she said that the muses at the house weren't real muses. So maybe we did see real muses, and now these ones are different. They're just people.
So...
Can I interject? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she's just sort of like doesn't get anywhere near. She more sort of steps to the side of Marcus. I know I said I'd tell you everything. He used to murmur in his sleep something about waking them up. And the book. He would talk about the book a lot.
Okay. The book, waking them up, like waking up the Titans. That kind of waking up.
I don't know. I thought he was talking about himself waking up for a long time.
Mm.
The muse said that they must not awaken. They are coming. Everything will burn.
He said people
Everything
have tried
burns.
to find it before. There's great reward or treasures to be found in the Library of Alexandria, but that is there too. People set off on ships and they never come back, looking for this treasure, if that's what you could call it.
All right. Well, it sounds like we have a whole lot of information. Library of Alexandria, Titans. And he's kind of like going over this, like just listing it off to himself. And then looks over at Xeraxes and is like, what do you think we can't just let her go, can we? I don't think that would be a good idea. And kind of like looks at Xeraxes while he's saying this.
And Cosimo, if you're looking, you'll just see Kessia gulp.
Cosmo is actually still outside.
Still outside.
She's kind of in the same place as Marcus. What are we gonna do now? Because she remembers that we murdered someone yesterday, and we murdered someone the day before that too, and we freed a bunch of slaves, and there's a lot of really dark stuff going on. But she always respects what is lawful, so she's in a really weird place of what is the right thing to do here. And she definitely heard the fearful cry and flinched when Xeraxes was busy yelling, imparting the fear of God. And I think like she paused at that moment and she listened, and when she didn't hear death cries, she realized she had a little bit longer to figure this out. And so she's trying to center herself, and she's remembering that she saw again the vision of her husband in the courts yesterday walking across the map and away from her, and that they started this journey and they've committed so much to it. But she's becoming scared of how far it's going to go now, and the further they go down this path, the harder it's going to be to ever come back. And so she's kind of staring at all of these dye pits and the fabrics that have now been hung up to begin to dry in the morning sun, and listening to life and almost waiting for the local authorities to come down to find out who's been causing so much trouble in the town, in the port. It's that feeling for Cosima of something's about to like drop on our heads and we're only making things worse. But she doesn't see how to make it better, and she has a lot of anger for Kessia for what was done in an attempt to steal their freedom. And, you know, everyone else in that place was killed or injured yesterday. So, yeah, she's busy having a moral dilemma, and I think wearing a little trough outside of Agga's back door.
I mean, you all, as like you're sort of pacing, maybe talking and muttering to yourself, you see the black cat, Hestia's black cat, like stroll by. just sort of almost like to check on you, sort of has a look, and then walks back round to the front where the dye pools are.
Well, very helpful friend as usual. And I think at that moment she kind of turns and like touches the door about to go back in and hesitates. Like, if I just let this go on, she's pretty certain if she lets it go on, Zyraxy's going to rip this person apart. It's kind of like an inevitable. You leave Zyraxy's for long enough, something ends up ripped apart. It's like a dog who gets bored. You're coming home to no furniture.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, and she hesitates, and then she finally kind of pushes to go back in. No answers to any of her questions, but knowing that she can't let Cassia be murdered and just stand outside and listen.
And what scene does Cosima walk back into?
Well, as soon as Marcus kind of started positing what are we going to do with her problem, Zyraxes just kind of slowly turns back to look at Cassia again. So they're just staring at her again, just kind of like considering, very kind of cat looking at a goldfish bowl.
We give her to the slavers.
What? Like, she's sort of like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Just doing as I was told. Which is a blatant lie. No one has told her to give her to the slavers.
Yeah. The slavers, but I don't want to go in there.
And Zyraxes just kind of leans forward a little bit and smiles again.
You'll find your freedom, if the gods will it. Or would you rather not live? You realize that
answer to my god.
And you can see that she looks terrified for a moment, and then Adgar comes out of the room because she slaps a hand down on Kessie. He's like, "It's all right, you're not that bad. Maybe someone will buy you," and just starts to walk her out of the room. It's like, "I'll be back in maybe a moment," and sort of takes her out of the house and leads her away.
Cosima goes back to her seat at the table next to the map, and she picks up the wine jug from last night. Sees there's a tiny drag in the bottom, and that is gone down the neck in a hair of the dog mechanism.
Zyraxes will kind of walk over, like, round the table to where Cosima is. Just watch this, and then pick up the empty wine jug and just kind of look at her before repeating what they'd said to Obion. Just, my god has drowned more people than yours. And we'll just take the empty jug away over to their little corner and put it with the broken shards of what they've been drinking. Just kind of like, no. In that kind of, like, tiny child looks after the drunk relative kind of way.
Marcus kind of just like watches this happen, like just slowly. And then he just sits down next to Cosima and is like, "Okay, so what we got out of her, I don't know how much you heard, but Library of Alexandria, we might have covered that while you were still in here. And Titans. Apparently we are supposed to be getting the book to prevent the Titans from waking up, I think is what's happening. Oh, and also," and he kind of like points at the map where she indicated and said, "I think we need to go here, to this port town right by where we were supposed to go, that middle of the ocean," and he points at the circle. And yeah, so apparently I forget his name, Cassia's dead husband. What was his name? Seb. Okay. Apparently Seb was going to this place to deal with all of this nonsense.
I remember this place from last night, although I forget how we arrived at it. It seems we have another journey ahead of us. At least it is along the coast.
And Xeraxes will kind of pick up the magnifying glass and put it on the map, like, trying to be helpful. It's like, no idea what they're doing, just like...
Titans and gods. Where was Alexandria's library meant to be?
I do not know. That she didn't seem to have any idea. I guess if we keep going in this direction, we'll find someone who knows a little bit more.
Question: would Cosima know the basic story of Titans versus gods being pretty much, an ongoing saga of Greek?
I would say you would, because you were a fisherwoman. They will talk about the Titan that has come out of the ocean, or the Titans that come from the other parts of the world. It's a story. It's been told around campfires.
Yeah, because there was a Titan thrown in a jail to the bottom of the ocean, right? As jail.
Yeah.
Titan jail.
And
you
then
are going
along
to Titan
came
jail.
I'm the sheriff of Titanville, and you're going to Titan.
The jail.
Chaos in its track.
Yeah. As long as it's not the Chicago version, it's fine. Okay. Yes, you would know. And in fact, you probably would have, even Marcus, you probably would have read about this sort of thing. I don't know how, if Xeraxes is so absorbed with their god, whether they would have heard of them.
I don't know how Titans kind of translates to Thrace, because I didn't go too deep into my research spiral. But I'd say they probably know the gods have enemies.
Oh yeah, you know the
just,
gods have enemies. Maybe you don't know their names, but Marcus, you would have definitely read this in a book at some point, and I would have said, Cosima, you would have maybe even told this round a fire when you were very young, and you've told your children this story.
This is a Greek story, not an Egyptian story. Why are we in Egypt? Well, this is, a day, 2 days away? I suppose that gives us a little time to figure out why we are going here. Where we are going from.
We need a cart.
Yes.
We need a cart.
I believe Adgar may be able to help us. Obion being a merchant. There's little we can do for Obion now. Will take time for him to heal.
Yeah. Oh, another thing she said that believed that Obion had been there before. I forget which place, but we can ask him if he knows anything about what's going on.
Hestia is outside somewhere. I saw her cat. Perhaps we should go about our mornings and wait for Adgar's return, and things can be decided then. Don't stray too far from the house, though. We made a lot of mess.
Yeah. True.
It's going to be about an hour before Adgar returns. Is there anything you would want to do in this hour?
Xeraxes is going to retreat to their corner and kind of amid the scattered bits of, broken pottery and stuff that they have amassed, as well as like blood and wine stains in this little kind of blast radius of crap that they've collected. They're going to set out the magnifying glass and the obsidian chunk and just kind of try to take stock in some way of this weird little collection of stuff and try and not really commune with their god, because they don't really do that. The other night when they attempted to actually speak directly was kind of a fluke and didn't go well. So really they're just trying to be still, kind of like a version of meditation where they just try and be still and see what the world does around them. Usually involves hallucinations, but yeah. At some points their eyes will track something moving across the room that isn't there. And they will keep twisting the whip that they took from the slaver through their hands like it's one of their snakes.
Marcus is actually going to walk over to where Zaraxis is looking over their collection and kind of point at the magnifying glass thing that Kessa dropped and be like, can I grab that for a second? I'll give it back.
Zaraxi's like face won't move, but their eyes will just flicker and flick back down, and then they'll just kind of look away from like the area in which the magnifying glass is, which is as close to a yes as you're gonna get when they're being weird.
Fair. And Marcus, kind of tentatively like watching Zaraxis, crouches down, takes the magnifying glass, and then goes back to the map. And like, just in case the magnifying glass has like any weird property to it, he's going to kind of like look around like the area that they're supposed to be going with the magnifying glass.
Okay, can you roll an intellect for me?
Yeah, I sure can.
Intellect of 2. Yeah, perfect. So you sort of hold this magnifying glass across the mirror, and you can see it does the normal thing, sort of enlarges. You can see Memphis where you are now, and you can see it enlarging the image of the city. And you can follow along the coast to the port that you were sort of directed to. As you pass it, you think for a moment you see words appear.
Marcus is gonna go back to where the words were and like focus in on that area.
And as you do, it's like you hold the magnifying glass there for a second, and it's as if an imaginary hand is writing as you hold over this map. It says Port and Sukari.
Okay. How was that pronounced again? Sorry.
An Sukari.
And Sukari. Okay, cool. Thank you. And Marcus kind of watches this happen for a second, and looks up around the room at where Zaraxis and Cosima are, and he's like, there's writing on this. When I look through this magnifying glass, it says Port and Sukari. Does anyone know what that might mean? Anything? Okay.
I mean, Zobian has heard of it before.
Okay.
The name Alice.
Yes.
I believe Cosmo would have probably dealt with Egyptian sailors.
Oh yeah. The Greeks and the Egyptians would have both traded in their stories, mythology, as well as products.
Oh yeah, we sold them our gods quite a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I wonder though if she would have any idea of how to maybe translate the name of the place.
You know, this isn't necessarily a name that is of... It doesn't seem to have a meaning. In fact, you're not sure you've ever heard of this name before, which would be very strange.
Very weird.
You know ports.
Yeah.
And if you take the magnifying glass away, it's not there.
She has this weird feeling, and she moves the magnifying glass like on and off, and Marcus, try moving the magnifying glass over other places on this map. See if there are other things we can't see.
And he nods vigorously and just kind of looks. And actually, I think he's going to kind of, especially like first, he's going to move it over the area circled in the middle of the ocean that he's starting to suspect may have been where the Titan hand was. So he moves it over that first.
You move it over where the Titan hand, you think the Titan hand was.
Yeah.
You roll me another intellect, please.
Yes.
Oh, okay. what you see is a ship riding the waves, moving. It's moving. And huge hydra heads come out and wrap itself around this boat. A hand, that big stone hand, for a second rushes up, and it almost makes you jump because it engulfs the entire glass. And for a second, the glass shatters. But it's almost like an illusion as it fades away as the hand disappears.
Okay, well, apparently I can see more than just text being written on this map. I just saw, I'm pretty sure the battle with the Hydra on the ship, like, happened in real time. And then the Titan hand reached up and tried to grab the glass. In my hand.
Well, at least we know it is the magnifying glass and not the map.
Yeah.
Cosmo's trying to wrap her head around this. This is some weird stuff going on again. One day we will have a normal voyage. Unfortunately, I do not feel that day will be today.
Oh, woohoo!
Yeah, woohoo! And Adga comes back in at this point. She looks like she's got a bruised knuckle, but she's also... She is with the slavers. I see you're looking at maps again.
Yes, we are certain now we must continue on our journey. Last night we discussed a town to the south. Today we know what the town is called.
The
And
town
she kind
does
of
not have a name yet.
Marcus. It does.
Yeah, I think it was Port Ansukari. He's like trying to remember this as he's saying it, just like going over it in his head. Have you heard this name before? Like, does this sound familiar?
No, not heard the name before at all.
Okay.
It doesn't have a name yet. It shouldn't have a name yet. It's new, very new. It's nothing but huts and odd fishing boats. Thank you, Mirror Shadows. There shouldn't be anything else there.
Okay.
They spoke of a city that used to be there, consumed by the waves, but...
Oh, okay. What was the... Do you know what the name of the city was?
Oh, it's not real. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But they said the gods were angry. But then what god isn't?
Mood.
Cosmos are like, yeah, I get that.
Hey, my god's the party god. It's all good.
I mean, as long as you're like blood, yeah, the
Yeah.
party god.
Blood and wine, then
Well,
yay!
the followers aren't the ones dying, so it's party god.
And Atticus sits down and sort of looks at the map. You know, I question a lot of things. My father hates it. What if our gods are not the real gods? What if your gods are actually my gods? What if my gods are your gods? What if our gods are the same? My father hates it when I say
will
that.
definitely look up at that and be all, gods wear many masks. My god wears many masks. I wear none, but he wears none, and the world wears everyone. He is
Spoke
not
of-
Dionysus to me, but he is Dionysus now.
You spoke of muses. You think it's only people that wear masks?
Everyone wears a mask.
What I thought.
Everything. The world is a mask.
You never know what god you're really dealing with.
I know my god.
And she smiles. It's just, I know.
And they kind of just like settle back into their corner, like, yeah. Won that one.
Yeah. Boom.
Point 1 to Bacchus.
Yeah. Just there, like, writing on the side.
Bacchus or bust.
Yeah.
Cosima looks to Aga. We'll need to borrow a wagon, some method for travel.
Of course, you've done so much. Take it. I'll make another one. It's not like he's going anywhere quickly.
He will, though.
Oh, I know. He's a stubborn bastard. You can't kill him that easily. But I will put aside some bread for you. It's not much. Azor looks at Araxes and have some wine as well, if that helps. I feel some of us may go crazy without wine.
Sudden massive smile, like, yeah, they get the joke.
Yeah, just like,
I'll try not to.
Yeah, good. It's just sort of pats you on the back and starts to go and unload the cupboards. She takes out like almost like this terracotta like pot type thing and starts. She's got lots of flatbreads that she's sort of had in there, and you could smell from cooking this morning, and starts loading them up. There is a cart outside, and also your friend Hestia, the one with the cat. Yeah, she's having a snooze. I don't know why. I think she's passed out. Heat. I told her not to stay out in the heat for too long.
It has been a long journey.
But it is. I had to grab her. She nearly fell in the dye pit. She's alright though. Bit mucky, but she's fine.
Cosima kind of smirks to herself, because I think Hestia's been the cleanest of all of us this entire trip.
Yep.
Perhaps I should buy us some traveling clothes. Between the water and the slave pits, what you have loaned us is generous, but perhaps not enough.
Of course. I will not be offended. Keep the ones you wear, but I'm not going to stop you from buying more. There is a store. Well, a stand. You can probably find some clothes here. Just head out, turn right. You can't miss it. It's very colorful. And by the time you come back, I will have the cart ready for you. I will put Hestia on a cot. She doesn't seem to be done with her snooze.
Cosmo looks between the three of them and realizes how conspicuous most of us are. And kind of settles on Marcus and realizes that Marcus is probably the least conspicuous. But perhaps not best to send him alone. Hestia would not be happy.
Don't upset the other group, Mum.
Yeah.
Battle Mom, are we going on a shopping trip?
And we're like,
the book kid and the cream kid on a shopping
groan
trip.
of resignation. Battle Mom is gonna take Marcus and Xeraxes to town and hope get nabbed while we're there.
And then we take Marcus to Target, and then we take Xeraxes to Hot Topic, and then we're done.
Oh.
12 hours later, we're not done.
Just Xeraxes sat on the floor in Hot Topic, like.
Xeraxes will be
comparing emo belt buckles, just like.
Xeraxes will lose in Toys R Us, and we won't know where the Toys R Us is.
Yeah.
Comes out with just like disfigured Barbies, like, they're mine now.
Yeah.
Definitely
you
that
can
kid,
head.
Definitely that kid who like cuts all of the hair off Barbie.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, Xeraxes is Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah.
Just without the sadistic glee.
Are you sure?
Some glee. It's more religious fervor than sadism.
There's a certain line.
in
I
line.
want that on a
It's in line.
t-shirt. It's more divine
It's
fervor.
more religious fervor than sadism. Yep. They say as they carry a big fucking whip round.
That's like a hottest singles type tea. Anyway,
So you walk through like you walk out of the house and you follow Adka's instructions, and before you know it, you're on the main sort of stretch where you can see loads of these market stalls. They're selling terracotta pots. They're selling. You can see the spices. You can see again like a stall that is literally just making flatbreads and different sorts of mixer. You can smell spices, and there are quite a few stalls that seem to be selling a lot of clothing, or at least material in that effect. And I am going to let you all pick what you want to wear, because there's such a diverse amount here anyway. It's probably there. And you can head to the first store if you so wish.
I'm realizing now we have nothing to barter with. Does anyone have any money with them?
I'm gonna go with no. Given that I'm pretty sure I'm pretty
Does
much
everyone
sure.
have their running shoes on? We're breaking the law.
Oh, you're that kind of mum.
Cosmo is definitely realizing as we get to town that she has nothing, having just been through a shipwreck, and then thrown in a slave pit, and then in borrowed clothes from someone's house, and like the only thing she has of value is this quartz statuette. And she's kept hold of it this long. She nearly gave it to Aga, but Aga didn't want it, and that's fine.
As we're passing stalls, are there any stalls with anything that has honey in it? Like any cakes or flatbreads or anything?
There's lots of flatbreads. You don't really see any honey or anything
You don't
like
smell
that. But
any,
you see
no.
a lot of, no, you'll see a lot of flatbreads and a lot of it's like Rexy's honey heist. That would be the best kind of. Which Zyraxes are you today? Are you angry? Are you drunk? Which one are you?
as we pass the stalls, are there? Because I know that a lot of it's clothes. Is there anything, like this size, kind of, palmable size?
Yeah, there's things like there's easily like some incense. There's little, almost like stone figurines. There's some precious stone, but they don't look like super precious. They don't look finely polished. This looks like someone is sat there just chiseling away at these little figurines.
And are we in a very crowded place? Like, is it?
Oh, this is packed.
Elbow to elbow.
Memphis. This is head of trading and everything.
Okay. As we pass, without this is as we're walking, so it's a long process. So Axis is going to try pilfering small objects and then pickpocketing people, using the
How
weights thing.
many times are you doing this? Because you're gonna roll for each one.
Okay, I'd say, let's see. I'd say probably 3 times, and they'd probably go for like small statue or like bits of jewelry and stuff, because they're going to try and trade it for coin by basically like doing a little switch. Yeah, you can do that. There's some precious stones and things like that sort of. So people don't notice that they've suddenly lost a lot of coin.
Yeah,
it's that kind of. So about 3 times I'd say as we're walking, because it would take them time to kind of pilfer something from a stall and then pilfer something from someone's pockets. So I'd say maybe about 3 times. Okay, so what am I rolling?
For the first one, how are you pickpocketing at first? How are you going for this? Are you pickpocketing or are you going to a stall first?
It would be a stall first, because that's what I'm using as an aid to pickpocketing.
Yeah.
And it's just basically like, walking past the stall and just palming something.
Okay, roll me a speed, please. It's got to beat 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Describe how you so easily swipe that.
Okay, as they're following Marcus and Cosimo, and just kind of like, in that Shaggy from Scooby-Doo kind of position where they're very tall but kind of dropped head and everything. And they kind of not start like walking like they're drunk, but they have kind of like that rolling gait where they're very obviously not steady on their feet. So they kind of bump into the side of a stall and brace their hand on it and kind of, you know, shrug away. And they look exactly how they are. They don't look like a normal person. So when whoever it is kind of looks at them, they're more relieved that this person is leaving their stall than this person bumped into their stall. But when they've gotten a few paces away, they just kind of open their hand and they've got like a little trinket or a statuette in it, just kind of that they have put their hand down on top of and just kind of kept.
Yeah, you've got like this
just
statuette
glued to
like,
the dry blood.
just like on like this little sort of orange stone, which someone's tried to polish up. You can see it's not a very good job, but it looks like they've made almost like a sphinx sort of trinket, which you managed to grab. So, you are now about to do the Indiana Jones switcheroo.
Basically, yeah, they'd kind of, you know, rub it in their palm a bit, maybe because their clothes are really just disgusting. Maybe dig out a couple of like bits of gravel from where they've been lying on the ground that is stuck in the leopard skin, and just kind of like get like a nice little kind of, you know, feels like more than one object, and then just try and basically scoop some coin out of someone's pocket while depositing this random collection of shit.
This will be a little bit harder because you're trying to do a switcheroo, so just beat a 3 for me.
Okay, is this speed again then?
This is speed again.
Okay, come on, Dionysus.
Oh. I'm not saying you have to use it, but just so you know, you do have a reroll. I'm just saying that. But
I'm still not entirely sure how pool and effort work. Is there any other way to make this work?
Yeah, you can add to make that a 3 for sure. Hang on, what did you get again? You got a 2, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what's your edge, if you have any?
0 on speed, is it? I can't remember.
It's 0 on speed. I've only got 1 edge.
So it'll cost you, what's that? Is it 3 points? It's 3 points to lower the DC.
Yeah, it's 3 points to lower the DC, and you're using, so like your pool is your health.
Okay.
This can be recovered. It's just.
So it'll cost you 3 points to make that a success, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's is that out of the pool or out of the big number?
Out of the pool. Your
Okay.
speed pool.
Sorry, numbers, my brain.
I don't do numbers.
Yes, I will, yeah.
Okay. Like, as quick as lightning, not even Cosima or Marcus see you do this. You sort of do the old switcheroo. You're sort of weighing it up in one hand, and it's almost like you put both hands in the pocket and quickly just pull out with, and you've got like 4 good coins in here. Like again, it's not shiny, it's almost like a matte, and they're very wonky, but this is good. This is pretty good. Like, I'm guessing you went for someone who looked like they were fairly well dressed, or yeah. You've got like 4, maybe even 5, like pretty good coins here. And Marcus might, and probably Cosmo will notice this is a fair amount of money. This could definitely get you clothes and maybe some food as well.
Yeah.
Unless you go and buy like a full like gold outfit or something.
Zyraxes would pretty much just like kind of walk up behind Cosmo and just kind of like put their hand like literally like round her shoulder and just kind of do that. It's like
I don't want to know where that was. And she'll carefully take the coins, careful not to touch Zyrax's hand.
Yeah, their hand kind of flinches down every time she takes a coin, but they don't touch, so the hand just gets retracted as soon as the coins are gone.
And she'll tuck those coins into like a fold of fabric that's as close to a pocket as she has right now. And that hand like hovers right by it because she's going to protect this from being pinched just because she needs it.
Yeah. Depending on how long it takes to get to wherever Cosima and Marcus stop, Zyraxes should probably try doing that again. Should we just hand wave it and say that he doesn't manage it? Because I don't know. I don't want to spend like all the time just rolling. No.
Just let's say you do manage this one because you spent for that one, so you do manage it. I'd say.
Okay.
Nice.
Because they're just like okay, like you know, Money's a thing people need. I will try and do that.
This is
thing.
not Cyraxie's first time, let's be honest.
No, they figured out fairly early that money was a thing that was necessary to happen, even if they didn't particularly care about it. They're more likely to try and steal things. But...
I mean, money turns into wine. It's a magical apothecary thing that Cyraxie's learned.
Yeah. So they get by. They've begged and stolen and stuff, but generally they just try and steal what they need rather than stealing money. But given that Cosima and Marcus seem a lot more normal than them, they've kind of gone, these people will want what everyone wants, which seems to be this shiny pieces of crap. I'll get some shiny pieces of crap for these people.
You can get those shiny pieces of crap and give them to Cosima.
We head for this store that is like the brightest and the biggest, and it's full of these fabrics. And Cosima looks to Marcus. Because of Marcus's station, she has this expectation of Marcus is gonna know exactly what Marcus wants. And kind of have ideas about this. She's just a fisherwoman. She takes what she can afford and, you know, tries not to ruin it too quickly. So she'll kind of hand Marcus a couple of the coins. And keep hold of, like, if I got 5, she gives him 2 to take care of, like, what we're doing here. And she keeps hold of 3. She's doing the mum thing of, I've got to save some of this for later, because this is all we've got.
Battle mom! Thrifty battle mom!
And Marcus was like, oh, thank you. And he kind of like starts looking around for... He doesn't want to spend too much because he has some concept of money. He knows that out here is different from home. So he's kind of looking around and he's looking for some place that is more practical than like something his parents would want him to wear.
You can see a lot of stalls like attached to each other. You'd think this is almost like the section of the market where it is, and it's almost like in 3 rows, so you have to weave in between to really have a look. And there's a stall that is full of colourful. There's some which look very practical and they're more sort of either beige colours or just duller colours. And then you can see some that look very expensive where they've got sort of it's almost some of the colours you would have expect Adga to dye, and it looks like someone's obviously bought these from Adga or someone like her and started to add other things to it, like trinkets and different threads.
He kind of looks at these stores and then turns to Cosima and is kind of like, should we try not to stand out? Should I go with like the less colorful things, or like will that look weird if we're among a bunch of people in colorful clothing? And he's kind of just like thinking out loud but also kind of addressing her.
Simple colors, maybe dark colors, they show less stain. And she's like weighing up a couple of fabrics. They're both blue because she has a fixation apparently with blue fabric. I think because it's probably quite expensive. Blue is like an expensive color.
This is probably something for you that you think, I would never buy this.
Yeah.
But...
And it's like, it's almost a flashback to that first marketplace where she'd been playing with that blue silk. And that was when all the Muse stuff had kicked off, and it's kind of like, yep, full circle, here I am again.
Marcus kind of leans in and goes, you should get it.
And she feels suddenly self-conscious and she drops the fabric she'd been, like, just lets go of it and reaches instead for, like, a more practical, like, terracotta type color. We can get more of this.
And Marcus kind of looks at the clothes that she dropped and then back up at her and says, if you're sure, but you said dark colors and that blue was pretty dark, so I mean, but I won't press it. And he just kind of starts looking around at some of the other like shade of brown type clothes.
We'll need thread and needles too. Cosima, of course, planning to make the clothes herself because that's what she would do.
Zyraxes is not even looking at the clothes stand. They're probably actually like, staring at stand like across the crowded street because nothing is ever easy. And they just kind of tilt their heads like towards Cosima's direction without actually looking at her and just kind of go, "You belong in blue, though. Like red for me, not fabric, but it's always red.
And
Blue suits you."
I imagine Cosima can see there's probably like something that's been dyed with like berries to be that kind of grapey kind of color, and she'll pick that out for Zyraxes, mostly because it won't show the wine stains.
Also, by the way, I had completely forgotten, but Zyraxes also has like a massive, still kind of fairly recent,
That's
massive
true.
sword wound across their face.
I think
So it's
Marcus
like, hey,
hinted to it.
red. Yeah. Big, just like slightly
So-
still sticky wound across their face.
To get us past the shopping expedition, as fun as picking colors is, Cosima, I think, is going to end up with a couple of reams of like a terracotta type brown color, like for a simple traveling garb. She will pick up some blue, and also like a wine color for Zyraxes. Zyraxes obviously wears mostly like a skirt or like trouser type situation,
Mhm.
and not so much the robe that everyone else wears. So we don't need that much of the fabric.
They wear very little clothing. It's the thing.
And she'll ask Marcus if there was anything that particularly caught his eye, just in case a special occasion.
Right. Marcus kind of looks around, and even though he's not super picky on the color, he's been this entire time kind of like feeling the fabric to make sure that it's not just gonna like fall apart or rip really easily. And that's like the one thing that he's been picky about. He goes, "No, I like the colors you picked, and they all feel pretty high quality." And he kind of like gives him one last tug.
I imagine she's gone for like semi. There's a couple of lighter, I think the terracotta is like a lighter fabric because we're kind of in Egypt in the desert, and we can just layer and layer and layer if it gets cold. But there's a brown one that's more like a burlap. It's like really hardy, thick fabric for like the
It's like
foundation.
leather as well. Like there's leathers and stuff like that. as
Ooh, we
well.
can get leather too.
So there is leather and things like that. Like,
So yeah,
I think it would be a bit much if I dressed Zyraxes in leather while they're carrying a whip. Just
I don't know.
and fur, like leather, whip, fur, blood. Too much. The blood is actually doing a wonderful job of keeping them from getting sunburnt.
So
Yeah.
maybe get, like leather for kind of making some belts and some sort of practical
Mhm.
trim type things.
Oh, maybe actually finally make us some coin pouches that we all lost in the ocean.
Yeah. Maybe like a stab vest for Marcus.
yeah.
A leather
no.
stab
There's like a
vest.
purse for you,
A pair of child leaf.
a dab vest for you.
We've got leather. We can make those little child reins that Hestia and Cosima can have a rein each.
And as Hestia's not here, Cosima will also get an extra length of the blue fabric for her, and enough leather to make a collar of sorts for Merit.
Yeah.
Since we now own the cat will have a collar.
I can't believe we're gonna put a collar on
I
her.
can't wait for this to happen.
This cat's gonna be like, what?
This is amazing.
This is great.
And that will be what we pick up from the store. And Cosima will haggle hard, but I imagine what she actually does is lets Marcus try first. But
Yeah.
Marcus is son of an orator, so Marcus should have this down, right?
I mean, the woman looks at you. She's like, 3 coin, please.
3 coin. How about? Let's see. Can you do? Here's the thing. Marcus doesn't. He's doing his best, but he's like, what's a lower amount of?
Oh, honey!
And his
Oh, honey,
brains-
no!
He's like
Oh, bless.
3. So maybe 1 instead.
Cosima and Zoe. And this woman is just like, can you roll an intellect for me, please? You get a 3. Like,
Cosima is about to train her son in some haggling.
Oh,
yeah, this woman looks at you and especially seeing you're a younger boy, is just like 3.
And he kind of thinks about it for a second and is like, well, you got me a little bit. But like, the thing is that, you know, we're just this small family. As you can see, we're not really from around here.
Looking at Cyraxes.
yes, Cyraxes' head kind of rolls back. They're still facing the other way, so it just rolls back. Like at that like uncomfortable angle, and then it rolls back around to look at whatever has caught their attention.
And Marcus will look at her and continue like, as you can see, we're not really from around here. We're not super familiar with this currency. I was trying to haggle you down to 1, I'll admit that. But we kind of, and he's actually, I'm going to use a skill for this, hold on.
I was gonna say, you're just like, I don't understand the currency. I'm so to like just go. 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marcus is going to use an action to use fast talk. When speaking with an intelligent creature who can understand you and isn't hostile, you convince that creature to take 1 reasonable action. And there's more text, but it's mostly for combat, I think.
Okay.
So, and he just like keeps talking about this. Like, we're not really from around here. We're not like familiar with the currency, and at this point, we don't have a whole lot of it. We have 2 coins, but like that's really close to your price, and I think it would be super great if you could just, you know, allow a little bit of leeway for like a family of 3 that's just trying to pass through. And he's going on about this to her.
You have 2 coins.
Yeah. And he holds out the 2 that Cosima gave him.
Yeah. And this woman puts her hand over the coins like, fine, you can have it for 2. Just don't come back to my store.
I really appreciate it. And he'll just kind of like back out.
You should. And she sort of turns around. Going back to other things.
Sorry.
No.
Once all of the stuff we've bought is in our possession, Cyraxes will just kind of turn around and hold their arm out over the stall and just leave like 3 snakes. They'll just like drop and kind of wiggle into the fabrics, like
yeah. You see this woman like look at you like, and look at the snakes, and she leans down, picks up this stick, and just starts trying to move them off of her stuff.
Cosima kind of looks apologetically and says, "You have to be careful what you asked for around this one."
Yeah, and Cyraxes will just kind of go 3. Just like move on. Like,
she waits for you to go and then quickly tries to flick them off with the stick. Like try to get rid of them.
They'll probably find me again later. It'll be fine.
And as we do move away, and once we're clear of the stall, Cosima lays a hand on Marcus's shoulder and says, "I'm impressed."
Thank you. And he just kind of perks up like, Cosima is proud of me.
I thought we were going to have to give up the leather for 2. And she looks quite proud at like this armful of stuff that she's now carrying. Is there anything else you would like from the market? She looks first to Marcus and then to Cyraxes, dreading the answer from both.
Marcus kind of looks around and is like, I don't think it's a good idea for us to stay out here.
So actually she just kind of stares back when Cosima looks at them and just looks away.
Is there a book or something that would be of use to you? we could find a scroll merchant, maybe.
Maybe, but I don't know how much of the information we need would be available at just, like a bookkeeper or a scroll merchant or anything like that, because this is like secret stuff. Like they're killing people to try and keep the secret.
You hear a yell in the background where you see the woman trying to flick the last snake that comes off. Seems to come back at her.
You're right, we should go.
And you can head back to Adgar's home, and you can see a cart outside loaded with sacks, which you can only assume is flatbread. There are bottles of wine propped up. You can see like a pallet put into the back of this cart where Hestia lies really asleep. Like dead asleep almost.
I think Cosmo will go and check on Hestia, and maybe, I don't know if she has been let out, unless I probably noticed like a touch of sunburn, and she'll pull up the cloak to cover her and take some of the clean water from like the well or where water source is nearby. There's the river, right?
Oh yeah.
And just kind of much like they've done for Obion, just focus on like keeping her cool and keeping the burn down, knowing about the madness that comes.
Yeah. Yep, you can do that. And you can see the sun in the sky is slowly starting to sort of dip down, and you can feel that it's that little bit cooler. It's still hot. It's not as stifling, it's not as muggy, and you can see the sky start to dull. It's not dark, but the sun is starting to set. And Adgar looks at you all and says, "Good luck. You will always be welcome back here on your journey home."
And good luck to you too.
I don't need it. You do.
Perhaps good fortune then.
I like that. Let's say good fortune. And she sort of nods to you and sort of again looks at Zyraxi, sort of gives a bit of a smile and just pushes like a jug of wine into their hand. Can't help but like ruffle Marcus's hair, even though you're not that much shorter.
Yeah.
Like her. And she rests a hand on Cosima's shoulder. It's like, "You'll come back. You'll come back." She sort of pats your shoulder and turns and stands in the doorway and sort of watches you go for when you leave.
I think Cosmo lays a hand on the passing hand and says, "I have no choice."
I know.
And kind of gives it a squeeze and a pat, and then goes back to the cart. And she's going to assume that she's driving. But I do happen to know about Zyraxi's past, but Cosima doesn't. So
Zyraxis is actually going to stow the jug of wine in the cart, and is just going to walk with the horse for quite a while, just kind of communing with the animal, because they're like animals more than people, and horses especially. So they are pretty much just going to walk up ahead, like at the horse's head, and just have what is their equivalent of a chat.
What about Marcus? Whereabouts are you sitting on this?
Marcus would probably be like barely sitting, just kind of like whatever they go by, he needs to get a look at it. So he's like kind of half sitting, half leaning off the side, you know.
Yeah, this is quite a high-sided cart, so Hestia doesn't fall out. You can see the cat sort of purring, sort of curled up by where her head is. And Adgar waves you off, and you can hear her yell, "I will see you soon, friends." And she turns and closes the door. And you set off. First of all, you enter the fairly busy streets. And Zyraxis, the horse seemed to actually remain fairly calm with you next to it and just trots along. And soon the city seems to get thinner and thinner. You see those strange pyramid-like things that are halfway built or nearly there, disappearing, getting smaller in the distance. You walk across this dirt road. You see the odd tree here and there. Otherwise, you can see what the heat has done to this land. You're probably all far more used to a bit more of the sort of luscious green and the trees, and for Zyraxes, definitely the forest. But there's not much of that here. Every now and then you pass what you think maybe one or two sort of almost pools of water, but it's more where you're so close to the ocean. This isn't fresh water, this is salt. And you walk for a while, and it gets darker and darker, and the relief of the cooler air starts to sort of set in. What are you doing whilst all this is going on?
Once we get out of the city a bit and, you know, free from pedestrians and other carts and stuff, Zyraxes would probably bolt up and kind of just lie on the back of the horse, like further forward than a usual seat, and then like literally lying back so their head is like on the horse's flanks, and just kind of lollop there and just kind of look up.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be too bothered by this.
I just realized, would we not be more likely to have a camel?
It was in between. It would have been horses and camels. Camels were more for individual riders.
Right.
Horses is almost like more like a mule rather than a horse.
But definitely more chosen, I guess, because we are on a coastal route rather than a desert route. So
this is like a trade point. So if you were further in, you might be lucky not to get a camel or a cow. So
yeah, like an oxen.
Yeah.
The Egyptians had chariots, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is almost like a horse mule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of thing.
Riding on a donkey.
So Cosmo would have set the pace to be quite slow, knowing that we had a long journey and only very limited resources with which to make it. And I think after we'd kind of settled into a pace and we'd cleared the city, she's probably sat there constructing the garments with what we'd bought as best she can until it gets too dark to do that. But mostly kind of quiet and keeping to herself. Maybe as she works, at some point she kind of loses awareness of herself and is probably like humming like a sea shanty or something to kind of keep a rhythm. Used to obviously working on nets and things, so knowing that you've got to kind of keep the mind in rhythm with what you're doing or you're going to make a mistake.
Yeah, and you can get quite a lot done before the sun goes down. This is sort of almost like spring, summertime. The light is much longer. And soon you feel that chill in the air. You can feel that sort of breeze really pick up. And you've noticed the cat is sort of hugging a little bit closer to Hestia because of the cold, sort of almost round, like her head, neck, sort of tucking into the actual hood of her cloak itself. And
Hiding up with the hair.
Yep.
This is why I'm lying on the giant fuzzy space heater. Big animals are warm.
Especially one's making an effort to drag her.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
As well, if anyone watches Zyraxes for any like length of time, like it looks like they're just, you know, flopped and not doing anything much at all. But if the horse, mule, but beast of burden ever like, you know, shifts like off lane or like gets distracted by greenery or like something to smell, you just see like a twitch of one of their legs. Not quite, you know, like the kick of, you know, someone actually riding, but just like a guiding little because they're actually like, it's almost just like second nature to a part of them to know how to handle driving an animal. So you might be noticeable, but you'd have to watch them for a while because obviously trained animals don't always kind of go, oh look, food. Sorry.
And you ride for a time. And it's actually fairly pleasant. This is very sort of calm, and you can see all of the stars in the sky sort of flicker every now and then, just because of your tired eyes. And then could you all roll for me an intellect check, please?
Ooh.
Yep, that was good.
So
Yeah,
again,
we did.
with Marcus sort of looking around, getting quite excited at seeing all the things, maybe starting to calm down for a second. Marcus, you're looking out into this, what is effectively a desert. It's not a full desert because there's the odd bits here and there. And you can see, like, every now and then you pass a settlement, like a house, but that's it. You see a figure watching the cart, unmoving. That same muse's mask, just watching you. You trundle along in this cart.
Marcus is gonna kind of like notice at first and then kind of like tilt his head to the side and stare for a second just to make sure that he's like seeing it right. And then he's going to kind of turn around and look from Cosima to Xeraxes, like between the two, and say, I saw one of the muse masks. I don't know if it's an actual muse or one of those people.
And Cosma, I think her head has been like slowly dropping down towards the sewing that's still resting in her lap. And she looks up and about, and her hand kind of twitches towards where her knife should be, but her knife is actually led next to her because she's taken it off for writing and for, you know, cutting extra threads and stuff. And she looks and, what do you mean you saw one?
Out there, and he kind of looks back to where he saw the muse. Is it still there?
It's still there.
Okay.
And it's
And
watching.
he'll kind of like inconspicuously try to like gesture towards it instead of just straight up pointing.
And it was on the road behind us?
It's sort of to the
adjacent?
side. It's like it's off to the side, and it's just watching you go past.
Cosima, as she would if this was a boat she was on, calls out, what news from you?
And it's just silent for a moment. All you can hear is the hooves sort of go over the dirt and those wheels. And for a moment, it raises its hand up. And you can just see light cast over this mask, this face, as fire starts in the palm of this muse's hand.
Imagine.
And then it closes it again.
Cosima instinctively glances down towards Hestia, like, this is the person who would know about what's going on. She isn't sure if she wants to hurry the horse or stop the horse.
As you look back at Hestia, near the back of the cart, you see another one walking, following your path, following the cart.
Xeraxes. Cosima calls forward.
They kind of lift their head up and then like look back. Like just acknowledging that they've heard, but not saying anything.
We have company.
Xeraxes will sit up, like full, just like, you know, and then turn in their seat so they're actually sitting astride but facing back towards the cart.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll just kind of lean so they can look past Cosima, because she's quite tall
And wide.
Even sitting in a cart, it's like just to see the muse.
And as Zyraxes leans, Cosima leans out of the way too.
Just like Cosima is like broad.
Yeah. And her hands are going to grip on those reins, waiting to see Zyraxes' instinct, using Zyraxes as a barometer almost.
Zyraxes is very, very confused about the muse thing because they were absolutely certain that the muses were portents, were sent from their god, a god, were, and then one cut his face open. So there's a moment where they're just kind of staring and waiting, and in that kind of moment, if there's no sign for them to interpret as godly rather than mortal, their instinct is something like this: cut my face open. So they will kind of spring up into like a crouch on the back of this horse and be very much preparing to go for its face. Like there's that. Cosima would probably understand that there's a readying tension in them, very similar to what they looked like before Seb met his end. Just that kind of, you know, like the cat butt wiggle thing? It's that same kind of readying. Yeah.
You just see this muse. They don't seem to be lunging, they don't seem to be walking, like going for you or anything like that, but they do hold out a palm and fire starts to generate from it. And then you notice there are two more.
It's like weeping angels, they keep multiplying behind us.
Don't blink! And there's four, and they're walking, and it's like they're holding up the light. You're not sure if they're trying to show you that they're doing this, or that they're using it as their own guiding light, because your only light right now is the moon and the stars.
Cosima, seeing the tension in Zyraxes and glancing towards Marcus, tries one more time to get a communication, because she's not sure, she doesn't know, and she also doesn't want this wagon to be blasted with fire, as then we'd be screwed. So she says, "Are you brought to us by the winds?"
You hear a voice. In fact, all of you hear a voice. You're not sure which one it comes from. You're not sure if, because there's this mask, you're not sure if you're hearing this in your head or if you're seeing lips move. You just hear you seek the library.
At this point, Marcus is kind of like in the bottom of the cart with like his knife that he stole from the other muses earlier. And just kind of like, yes.
It takes a few steps closer to the cart, and you hear your own voice mimicked back to you. Yes?
Oh. Guys, I think they might be legit. Can
Guys, they're legit!
They're legit. I keep forgetting to try to not talk mob.
No, I love it!
I mean,
So
history Greek.
Ancient history inspired. You can talk whatever you want.
Zyraxes is gonna kind of lean in and just try to mimic Marcus back and just be like, they seem legit, and kind of mimic him.
Oh good, we're playing
to
a
kind of
repeating
say,
game.
like, you know, maybe mimicking isn't, you know, maybe the proof, you know, just kind of like, they seem legit, because Zyraxes is having like a crisis of faith right now, so nothing is legit, nothing is real.
Are you here to hinder us on our path? And Cosima is like, I will get to the bottom of this, no matter how long we play this game.
You hear that voice again. Are you setting out to destroy the library?
I would never.
It is true. He would never.
But what about you? And sort of turns to look at Cosima. It is a holy place. The king's words recorded.
I have been told it is a place that doesn't exist. It is not on my path to destroy. It is not what I seek.
And it sort of like tips its head to the side. You seek your husband.
Why is it every time something weird happens, everyone knows too much? It's like the mental freak out that Cosima is having right now. If you already know my business, then you know too that I will not destroy the library.
We had to check. Seek your husband. You will find him.
Xeraxes is just slowly starting to growl.
Squirt bottle.
Yeah. Confusion does not sit well with their weird mind. So they don't quite understand the conversation that's happening. So they're just,
as much as Cosima wants to ask about what was just said, she can hear Xeraxes and that tension. Why are you following us? What is it you seek?
We wanted to see you. We wanted to see if you brought harm. If you brought destruction. We wanted to see your faces. Your husband sought the library. And you...
My husband was a fisherman.
That he was. The same as Seb was a slave trader.
Cosima bites her tongue, not to hiss back that is definitely not the same thing.
And the one sort of further off to the side of the cart, Xeraxes, you hear this slightly louder. Everyone hears it, but it's that voice again. You need to save your god.
I have been lied to.
In a way.
Masks. Too many masks. I don't have one.
You don't want to see our faces. Save your god. The way he saved you.
Marcus will kind of tentatively creep forward and say, who were the other muses at the house?
False. Fake. Betrayers. Cult.
The symbol, what is it?
It is the breath of a god. Humans take gods and twist them sometimes. Some are good, some are bad. I'll be intrigued to see what you do.
And Marcus kind of, at that last line, just kind of draws back, but doesn't really say anything.
You are the reader. You are the one who finds the book. Find it.
Okay.
Hide it. It is your responsibility. Maybe one day we will reveal our faces to you.
To me?
To all of you.
Okay.
When you are worthy.
Okay.
Gods
And-
twist people too. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
That they do, but I am no god.
There's like a full body flinch when she says that. Not a lot of lucidity in them, but occasionally things hit.
The two faithful, like deeply faithful people in this car have very different opinions about religion.
Yep.
Trust yourselves, but don't trust those who look like you. There is a woman further up the road. She has been attacked, robbed, beaten. She could use your help. Her name is Penelope. You will find her.
Is she important? Will she help?
She's not important. It depends on how you view importance. She is a piece in the puzzle. She will lead you to something more important. She will lead you to a ship. A ship for you to begin your journey. To find the library.
Again.
I know you dislike water. But do it for your god.
There is nothing I would not. There is nothing I have not.
We know this. And at that point they start to speak in unison. We know. You are just the beginning of a long plan. But you must succeed for this plan. Thank you. And they turn and they start to walk away. Again, almost all in time.
My husband went to the plays. Told me of the chorus. They see everything. They comment on it. But they do not change the story.
Only actors. But true.
There is someone that needs our help.
We should help her.
And their axes will just kind of, they're still kind of crouched, probably hanging on to the lacings, you know, the actual, I can't remember the actual word for it. The actual stuff that's keeping the horse roped to the spurs of the cart. So we'll kind of tighten
The hitching.
their grip on that. The hitching, thank you. We'll kind of tighten their grip on that to steady their seat, where they're still kind of trick rider like crouched on the back of this horse.
You know what I just realized? We had crouching Zyraxes and hidden Marcus.
Yeah.
Oh no. And they will just
That's
kind of,
the
like,
best, like, instead of crouching tiger, hidden dragon, crouching Zyraxes, hidden Marcus
Hidden
is the best thing.
Oh. And they'll just kind of like tighten one hand in the hitching and just kind of, there's a moment, and then the other hand just smacks the back of the horse.
And it
Like, whoa.
lurches.
Yep.
It lurches forward. And you hear a sort of a from the back where Hermes has been asleep, but at this point, as you have slapped this horse, been thrown into motion. And you can take off into the night down this path. And true to the muse's word, as you move down this pathway, there is a woman who lays at the side of the road. Sort of, she's got a lot of material sort of shrouding her head and across her body. It looks like she's wearing a lot of layers. She was out walking this evening.
Is there any sign of any attackers fleeing or still around?
Can you roll me an intellect, please?
Sure.
That would be also what Cosimo was looking for.
Yeah, but you'll go for it if you would
Okay.
like. Awesome. Okay. Cosima, you can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see anyone around. And Araxes, you can't either. You can't smell anything either. Like you think you might have picked up on something or someone, whether what it was, but you just see this woman on the side of the road. And she seems to be murmuring.
As we draw level, Zaraxes would have, done their like lovely Cossack trick riding stuff of clambering back around to be sitting astride, and will rein in the horse, literally by just reaching forward, because the driving reins actually go like down and back. So they would just reach forward to the horse's mouth and like rein them in from like there.
The horse
yeah.
halts. The cat jumps off the cart, sort of trots over, looks at this woman on the floor, nudges her a little bit, looks back to you and just starts pouring at her.
Marcus will get off the cart and go up to the woman to get a better look at her, maybe see if she has any wounds that he can attend to that are like an immediate priority.
Yeah. There seems to be, she looks like she's been beaten, but not like to an inch of her life or anything like that. This looks like a simple robbery, and she has got a cut that is like running from her temple down the side of her head, which you can see is bleeding. You could easily either take some of the cloth that's wrapped around her or anything and just put pressure on it.
Yeah. He'll do that mostly just under the impression of when Hestia wakes up later, we can ask her.
Yeah, you can easily stop that bleeding. She sort of winces and you hear like a groan as you put that pressure on.
And he kind of bends down when he hears the groan and says, "It's okay, we're not gonna hurt you."
You just hit husband? Who is this?
We're just other travelers on the road.
They took my things. And they hurt me. My head, it hurts.
I know you have a bad cut on your head. We should get you maybe into the cart so you can lie down.
Okay. And she sort of looks like she's trying to motion herself up, pulling up all of her robes, trying to pull up around. She's sort of really wobbly, and she clings to you like a clamp.
Yeah.
Just like, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's nice to meet kind people every now and then.
Cosima, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I imagine Cosima was like obviously slowing the horses and waiting to kind of disembark to go and get this woman, but when she sees Marcus kind of tending to her, she kind of waits to see and kind of let him do what he thinks should be done.
You can see this woman is old. Not old for our standards, but especially for this time. She looks older. She looks like, she's seen a lot of life.
Once the horse had like slowed and then stopped, Zaraxes would just be standing on its back to try and get like the best vantage point, kind of meerkat-like. So they're just fully like standing on the back of this horse, which at their height puts them quite beanpole-y, just kind of like trying to keep a lookout and not get anywhere near this person who is probably terrified.
You can look on the horizon and you can see what looks like a small settlement just over the way. from this point anyway. Like if you notice when you were sat down, you couldn't quite see it. There's like a ridge that stood up. You could see the tops of buildings. And you've been traveling a long time now. This is coming around to early morning. It's still dark, but it's early morning. And you can help her into the cart and lay her down. And all the way, she sort of grips on. She's like, thank you. And the cat sort of pads over and sits down between this woman and Hestia. So there's a town. My town is just over the ridge. You can drop me off there. I'm just on my way somewhere. I don't want to be too much hassle.
So why are you out here? I know you're going to this town, but what's your goal there?
I just came out. I was dropped off by a cart, very much like this one. I had a lift, effectively. I'm here to see my son. I'm looking for my husband, and I've heard his ship may come into port here.
Okay. So, is he supposed to arrive soon, like within the next day or two?
I have no idea. I'm traveling in hope that there's news of him, or if I see him, it'll be a miracle.
Okay.
Xeraxes kind of jumps down and starts, like, now that everyone's back in the cart, just gently kind of nudges the horse to start walking again. Still facing the cart, so they're effectively riding backwards. But
my son lives in the town. He said he'd meet me there. So
okay.
I will point out the house when we get there.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We'll get you to your son.
Thank you. And she sort of briefly, like, cranes back, winces, but looks over at Cosima. She can't quite see Xeraxes from this position. She glances at Hestia, and then glances at Cosima and back to Marcus. She's like, do you just pick people up? Like, she says, looking back at Hestia. What is this? Like, is she okay?
We don't quite know what happened with her. She fell asleep earlier today, very suddenly, and has just been out. So,
She was touched by the sun, and Cosima reaches into her lap to one of the finished cloaks. I think this is one of the dark blue ones. I think she was working on Hestia's cloak. And so she'll grab that and she'll pass that back to Marcus to give to our new passenger, because it's obviously quite cold. And she was robbed and is scared. So Cosima's like, just put layers on it, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
let's get you all wrapped up. Back when he says you don't want to catch a chill.
She's like, thank you. My name is Penelope.
There's just this voice from where the horse is, just, we know.
Cosima resists saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, both is just... The gods send you? Or did you recognize me?
The gods' hands. Always.
Good.
Marcus kind of looks apologetically at Penelope and kind of like, that one's a priest, some sort of religious person. You know, visions.
Oh. I get it. Like, she's just sort of like, okay, I've dealt with those who see the words of the gods before. It's why I come this way.
I'm not sure Xeraxes sees the words of the gods so much as Xeraxes tastes the words of the gods.
Tastes?
And Cosima explains Xeraxes follows Bacchus.
Oh, understood. I have met a few that follow in that path. Interesting people.
Why should we have recognized you? Pardon the rudeness.
No reason. There's no reason. It's fine.
It is strange to say if there is no reason.
I do not wish to be recognized whilst I search for my husband.
Do you mind telling us why?
And then she sort of like, in a really, you can see it's painful for her to laugh, but she chuckles slightly. It's like, so people won't know I'm wealthy, so I won't get robbed.
Marcus is just kind of nodding at this, like, yeah, like that overall kind of
Relatable.
There's like the vague shape of an arm, like gesturing, because at this point, Xeraxes must just look kind of like a shadow next to another horse-shaped shadow. So there's just a vague gesture of an arm pointing towards the cart, and there's just the voice again. There's wine. Wine helps.
Wine. It's been a while since I had wine. You've got to stay on your toes.
Penelope, you mentioned, you said, you asked us if the gods sent us. Why?
Well, that's what happens, isn't it? When you pray to them, you pray for help, and they hear you.
There's like a pain sound.
Customers trying not to laugh.
I don't understand.
The gods watch over you, and we shall take you to your son. That is all you need to worry about.
Thank you so much. I've been seeing things out here, hallucinations. I fear this head injury has. I fear I need rest.
There's like a sudden movement as Xeraxes just kind of like comes down off the horse's flank and like climbs round Cosima and is like perched next to Cosima on the cart seat, just kind of like suddenly visible in that kind of, you know, when things come out of the darkness.
Have you met my strange human Xeraxes?
Yeah,
and just kind of perches and just like immediately goes, "What did you see? What did you see?"
I didn't realize you were on muses, masked people, muses, fire. That's it. I feared they were guiding me to my rest, and then they disappeared, and then you turned up.
Guiding is good. Guiding is right. And it just pulls back and stays kind of perched next to Cosima, facing the wrong way, but not as looming, not as gargoyle-like anymore. Just weird and covered in snakes.
Yeah, thrilling.
Yep.
This poor woman's been robbed, beaten, and now this.
Just little snake heads, just kind of like.
Penelope?
Yes. Like she's not now taking her eyes off Xeraxes.
Fair. More than fair. I'm sure this will rank among the other strangenesses of this night, but what is your relation to the ocean and to ships?
I don't understand. I have been on one. I do not like them. They took my husband. It is why I search for him. It's why I wait for him.
The ocean took your husband?
He set sail. I know he's working his way back. You know.
And Cosima for a moment is totally lost in that parallel. And imagining again the last time she saw her husband sailing off as he always did. and how long she'd waited in the belief for a moment is he would come back eventually parallel before it became a, okay, I've got to go and get him.
Drag his ass.
So I think she falls silent and she has that vacant middle distance stare about her, and occasionally her mouth kind of moves as if it's about to form a word, but it just never gets there.
Did I say something wrong?
And Xeraxes kind of just tilts their head, and kind of their eyes kind of roll to Cosima and then roll back. You said something true. Rare.
I don't understand. I've got a headache.
Rest. You'll be home soon. Cosmo's like, I need to finish this conversation right now because I can't go any further with it.
Yeah.
And she'll kind of try and giddy up the horse a tiny bit. Like, yep, we're moving. Quick.
And you can set that cart in motion. And again, you start to move, and you see the woman's eyes slowly start to close in a restful sleep. And after about 30 to 40 minutes on this path, quite a bumpy path, it starts to smooth out. You see lights from houses. You can see a few fires outside, but there's maybe 5-6 houses here. This is not a big place. You think you can smell the sea, but you're not there yet. This seems to be a stopping point.
Marcus, let her not sleep too deeply. I've seen head wounds take people.
Okay.
You're nearly here.
He just kind of
Xeraxes is like,
keeps a watchful eye.
Xeraxes has climbed back onto the horse again. Prefers the horse to people.
Are there
Go on.
any lanterns or people like waiting and watching the road?
They're not necessarily watching the road for someone in particular, but you can see what looks like a small fire and 2 men that sit maybe as if they were guarding the road, just keeping an eye on what's coming through, particularly at this time at night, but they don't seem to be looking for anything in particular. And you can hear them laughing before you see them. You see they've got like these big sticks of just like cooked meat that they're eating as they've got this sort of this ale in their hands, and they're laughing. And they see you approach, and they stand, one of them completely dropping what they were holding. They don't draw weapons or anything like that, so you just hear, who goes there?
Travelers.
What is your purpose, travelers?
We journey from, what was the name of the port we were at? Memphis, right?
Memphis.
Yeah, we journey from Port Memphis. We found a woman on the road.
A woman? What
Yes.
sort of woman?
One
Dead
attack.
or alive?
She lives. She seeks her son who is in town.
A son. And they sort of look to each other. Say, may we approach?
Yes.
Where is she?
Xeraxes just climbs up into that crouch again.
And Cosimo obviously slows and stops the horses. And she realizes there are 2 bodies in the back of the cart. And kind of says, Marcus, wake Penelope.
Marcus will kind of put a hand up on her shoulder and kind of like gently nudge Penelope awake and say, hey, I think we're in town.
As she sort of sits up and then really regrets it. She doesn't even get bolt upright. She goes, oh, and just sort of like goes back down again. So, oh, thank God we're here. And you hear the two men sort of take a wide berth of Xeraxes and the mule, but they sort of go around the back and have a look. Penelope, My goodness, yes, of course. And they sort of bring the cart this way, and they sort of rush off ahead, and the other one sort of slaps the other one on the side, goes, "Go tell her son we found her. He'll want to know." And one of them disappears, like at a sprint, off into the distance, the other side of the village, and he sort of guides you in and gets you to follow just to this very simple house. And it is very, very simple, and the outside is just plain. It's flat on top, there's nothing really to it. And this man is in sort of a in a bit of a, not a state. He seems very aware of what's going on, and he's not so aware of all of you. He's like, "Please, will you help me carry her in?"
And Marcus says, I can help, but I'm not very physically strong. I can help a little bit, though.
It's fine. She's light. And you can hear Penelope just like, so kind. Like, as she sort of like helps, like, as you sort of like help pull her off of this cart. And for a moment, the man stops and looks at the other one. He's like, "We should probably get her inside as well, right?" Looking over at Hestia, who is also Sparko.
Oh yeah, we should probably let her rest in an actual...
I'll carry her.
Yes.
Cosima isn't quite prepared to let strangers carry Hestia around.
Yeah. It's sort of like this man sort of helps like with Marcus sort of carrying Penelope, like he has like her shoulders and her arms, and Marcus have her feet. And he sort of almost like kicks the door open at the back. And as you go into this house, this is weird. This looks like a house that is not lived in. Anything you could think, this is a stop-off point. No one lives here.
Mm-hmm.
There is
when Penelope is carried in and Cosima picks up Hestia and carries her in, Xeraxes will kind of come around to the side of the cart and just kind of hold out their hands to Merit, kind of like, well, everyone else is carrying someone, so kind of like
Merit
looks, not like moving to pick the cat up or anything, just kind of like.
Merit looks at you, looks at your hands, sort of pads over to you and like sort of sniffs you, and it's like testing the water, like puts a paw on your hand.
No reaction.
And if I was gonna say, if it doesn't fit, literally just climbs onto your hands and sits there, like chest out, like puffed up proudly, just sits and waits.
And all of the snakes kind of moved like slightly further up, like they're still there, but they don't really care. They're just giving a bit of space so that, to be honest, the cat won't bat at them or anything.
Yeah.
And then Xeraxes just turns and follows everyone else holding Merit.
Yeah, you can walk in holding Merit. Cosima, you walk in with Hestia in your arms, and you can see the man is guiding Marcus to lay Penelope down on one of the beds. There seem to be like two in here, and he looks at you as he's like, "You can put her on that one." And he lays Penelope down. And he sort of crouches, but he's like, "What happened to you?" And she murmurs a little bit, like, "What happened to her?"
And Marcus kind of looks at her for a second and say, "I believe she was robbed, and the robbers left her in this state after taking her belongings."
I told her not to go out. I told her she wanted a trip to Memphis. It's been 3 days. She swore that if she was at a busier port, that is where her husband would come in. And he sort of like runs his hands like through his hair, and you can see him go and fetch like what looks like a bowl of water, and again puts a cold compress sort of on Penelope's head, and you can see her relax a little bit. And at where Marcus has like done a makeshift tie thing to keep her head, so he's like, "Good, whoever did this." There's
nods and says thanks. He's just very low.
Yeah, it's just... and he looks and realizes how young you are, and he's sort of like, "It's good. That is good." No. And if your friend needs anything, there is another compress over there. Just help yourself. There is wine, there is food, please. And he seems very focused.
Cosima, kind of under her breath, says, "Don't have wine."
And this doesn't look like there's a table or anything to sit down at. If anything, there's like some, and it's not even cushions because there aren't really that thing. It's like straw with like some cover over the top of them for seating rather than anything else.
Cosima,
Sorry, go. Xeraxes is just gonna like carry Merit in, and once Cosima has put Hestia down, we'll just put Merit like down on the bed next to her, just like, clearly this is where people are going.
Yeah.
And because, you know, it's obviously like Hestia's cat or a cat that is attached to Hestia, so it's kind of like, there, your person is here and so are you. And then we'll just kind of like back off into a corner and watch everyone.
Cosima will take that offered cold compress and tend to Hestia to check out how that sunburn is developing.
She feels hot, but she doesn't look burnt. She does just seem very, very warm.
And I think she'll probably try and keep as much of her hair covered as possible, knowing there are certain problems with Hestia's hair being that blue.
Yeah.
But she'll probably loosen the clothing a little bit and kind of pat down as much kind of skin as she can get to. Yeah. Just kind of tending to Hestia, using her body to kind of block for modesty's sake, since we're with strange men.
Yeah. This man does not seem interested in any of you. Sort of like, he seems very focused on this woman right now, sort of making sure she's okay. He runs back and forth. You hear him, so he sort of opens the door at one point and just yells out. It's almost inaudible, but you can hear maybe he's panicked. He's sort of asking for help. And he just, after a while, you can see that by being tended to, Penelope is coming round. And you can hear her just say, where's my son? I need my son. He said he'd be here. And you can hear the man say, he's coming. He is coming. Yeah, we fetched for him straight away. And Hestia has started to cool down as well. With the evening, with these sort of cold compresses, everything is calming down. Merit has sort of curled up by the feet, but is watching sort of Cosima's every single move. And what are Xeraxes and Marcus doing?
Marcus at this point is kind of not 100% sure what to do, because he was just focusing like totally on Penelope, and he doesn't want to interfere with whatever Cosima has happening with Hestia. So he's just kind of chilling out, kind of waiting to see it. Yeah. Like kind of hanging out, just nervously fidgeting a little bit and looking around to see if like anyone needs help with anything, pretty much.
Yeah, every now and then the man turns to you and is like, pass me the bowl, like just not like in a demanding or aggressive way. He is panicked. That is what you can tell from that the most. And every now and then you hear Penelope, don't shout at the boy. Like, it's just as he gets a little bit panicked. What about Xeraxes? What is Xeraxes doing right now?
Xeraxes is very focused on Penelope, because as far as they know, this is literally like the next step on the path. It's not that they're very concerned for her welfare, but that they are very aware that she's needed, that she's, you know, the next step, and they need to be moving on. They're kind of like crouched. They've found a corner to kind of curl themselves into, and probably got their hands braced, so they're actually like almost pushing themselves back into the corner, And somehow, despite being dried and flaking, probably with the judicious application of saliva, they are in fact leaving just these series of bloody handprints on the wall as they push themselves back into it. Anointing whatever place they go into with their, creepy worship. But they're very basically just staring, like they were staring at Cassia, at Penelope, but there's no malice, there's not that sense of impending doom, it's more just a focus. They are very focused.
And as you're doing this, especially with the handprints on the walls, the man looking after Penelope looks back at Cosima and Marcus. It's like, are they okay? Are they safe?
This is for protection of your home. Their practices.
They're protecting us.
Penelope was attacked.
Do you know by what?
Robbers.
Robbers. I knew they were out there. You always get them late in the evening, and she is the perfect target. And he sort of sighs and shakes his head. And at that, it's silent for a while, apart from the murmurs. And then the door almost crashes open. This very tall man walks in. He is in, like, leather armor. He is in very sort of... And to you, he doesn't look Egyptian.
Does he look like he's wearing... Like, he's a soldier?
Almost, yeah. It looks to be a lot more like a soldier than anything else. But he doesn't look like a guard, like he looks like a fighter.
So I have a question then. Because of Cosima's father being both a soldier and a fighter, could she discern anything from just the style of armor he's wearing?
Roll me an intellect, please. This will be very easy because of what you have knowledge-wise.
There is a lot of hissing coming from the corner. Just.
It's like a kettle is suddenly boiling, and it's
There's a lot of like tiny snakes, so it's more like 50 small kettles suddenly boiling at random intervals.
You see, he sort of briefly looks over at Zyrax. He's confused, but not overwhelmed or anything. And his face quickly flashes back to Penelope. And Cosima, as you look at this man, you can see a helmet on his head. And this is almost a very Greek-like helmet. You recognize the armor. It's simple, but it is hardy, it is strong. This is not someone who is necessarily paid a lot of money. Like, he doesn't want to show off. However, you know this armor isn't cheap. This is good armor. This is going to protect him.
Yeah, this is functional, not...
Yeah, this is... And it also seems very lightweight. And from that, you can sort of guess maybe he does travel the ocean. Because if you fall in water with heavy armor...
Yeah,
you're dead. You're dead.
And he is built in a way, especially with the arms and the legs, where you, knowing this yourself from like fishermen and you, he has got the muscles of a swimmer. Like he swim well, and you can guess probably does almost on a daily basis. And he quickly runs over to Penelope and pulls off like this helmet, and you just see like this tanned face with blue eyes and very golden curls like all over their head, just full. And there's and you hear him murmur to the man, sort of, "Is mother okay? And so he sounds panicked, but he sounds strong. Like it's more logical. He's asking questions. He wants quick answers. And then he stands. And this man is taller than you, Cosima. Like, I know, shocker, right? Like this, he is broad, he's big, and he is tall.
If I wasn't already married.
Dang it.
I'm married to my god. So.
Yeah.
Marcus, you're up.
Marcus, you're going.
You gotta bring us home the snoot.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy is probably very good looking, and he turns around and he smiles. He's like, "You saved my mother. Thank you. I wish to know your names. Please."
And Marcus kind of like tentatively is like, my name is Marcus.
It is good to know you, Marcus.
Thank you.
And you, good lady?
My name is Cosima. This is Zyraxis. She's gonna skip through awkward introductions.
So it's just like there's just like a snapping noise as their head just twists to the side, and it's like just that pop. It's like, yep, that's how they're introducing themselves.
Esteemed follower of Bacchus.
Of course.
And
Well.
resting our friend Hestia and her cat Merit. She's just gonna introduce everyone.
Yeah. It's like, a cat? Oh, okay.
It is good fortune when you travel in Egypt.
That it is, but I am no Egyptian.
Nor I.
No. And he smiles. And he looks to all of you and goes, "Thank you for rescuing my mother Penelope. I am Telemachus, son of Odysseus. It is wonderful to meet you." And that is where we will leave Realm of the Ancients.
I knew
What?
I knew it. It was Penelope. I was like, ah!
As I said, ancient history inspired, otherwise you would never get to meet people like this. I can't do it exact.
I was like, wait,
Xerxes knows
Penelope.
nothing because they're Thracians. It's like,
I was like, Penelope, and I was like, I know who that was. I was like, maybe this is a red herring. Maybe it's like someone akin, but not the same. And then it kind of escalated. I was like,
I'm looking
Yeah.
for my husband.
I can see, I swear, Shakes, I can see you twitch when I do something. You're like, is this person? I know it's only ancient history inspired. I can't judge all of it.
It's so good. The history nerd in me is just like,
But we are doing something a little bit different this week. We have been, as others of you have seen on the stream, we are no longer doing outros. We have credits. So yeah, we let's have a look. Oh, I'm getting yelled at. No, we don't. We don't have them prepared yet.
oh, you know what it is?
not
It's because
here.
we all did our homework really late.
Yep.
It's kind of our fault.
like 5 hours ago.
It's fine. So what we'll do is we'll go round and we'll do the normal thing. So let's start off with Meg. Hello, Meg.
Hi, I'm Meg. You can find me on Twitter at Sword and Spell. And actually, this is my only stream for the evening, so you can catch me here every Thursday. But I also have a D&D blog over at elfnotes.com. So there you go.
Awesome. Thank you. And what was your favorite bit?
Oh, I feel like so much happened. I feel like a lot always happens, but I feel like so much actually really happened this time. I like the shopping trip.
Everyone needs a shopping trip in one of
Yeah.
those. I swear that's like becoming my thing. I take pictures of the shopping.
It's a good thing. It's a
Mention that.
good thing.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And now we're gonna hop over to Shakes. Hi.
Hello. So I am Shakespeare. You can find me on Twitter, same handle. This is my only stream at the moment, but things are going to change soon, hopefully. And my favourite bit, probably the shopping trip as well, because that was amazing. It's just like, we're just going to pickpocket people, and then we're going to haggle. which
Yeah,
is
that
brilliant.
haggling. Oh my God.
I'm really looking forward to the moment where Cosima tries to make Zyraxes wear clothes. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. Because they have very little understanding of this. I really, really, really want to kind of figure out who in the past has actually made Zyraxes wear the pants that they've got. Because that would have been a battle. They're a very weird...
The god
juvenile
was so
person.
stressed out. He came on, please, Zyraxes.
Just like, please just put some pants on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd say the shopping trip was just really, really fun. Just getting to watch that happen. Just like, we have no money. Okay, we need money. This is expensive. Okay, let's do this. Just like, it was so great.
Oh,
Also,
perfect.
getting to play with the horse. I just like role playing stuff with horses. It lets me, Relive my childhood as a horsey
Yeah.
person.
Sleep on the horse.
Sleep on the horse. Do everything with the horse. It's like horses.
Yeah, so Raxis will be staying in a stable tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stay with the horse.
Xerxes will probably stay with the horse. If they didn't feel the need to basically keep one eyeball on Penelope at all costs. Like, I'm just gonna bring the horse inside the house, it's fine. It's warm.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
So good. And also Penelope and Telemachus.
Jesus.
If we find Odysseus, who is like literally my favourite character from Greek mythology, I am actually gonna fall off my chair.
Same.
Just literally like
It is my favorite. But last but certainly not least, Charlie.
Hello. Yeah, I'm at Frost from Fire on the Twitters. I play a whole host of games throughout the week on all sorts of channels, including Encounter Roleplay, WebDM, Tales from the Grim, and this channel every Thursday. This is one of my favorite games that I play at the moment. I love how it's magic without having a lot of magic, if that makes any sense at all. And for that part, that's why my favorite bit was actually Marcus and the magnifying glass. I thought that was incredibly cool. And it fits so well with obviously the mythology in the world that we're in. That's the sort of thing we're getting. And I really liked the muses on the road and the chorus that formed up around us that knew everything and was kind of judging us and geeing us on, weighing us to see if we were worthy. So that was really cool. Obviously, Miss Amber, who I am looking forward to seeing her back next week. I think it's for Raw D&D is her hashtag, not hashtag, handle. I'm sure there'll be a link in chat. Go and check out the wonderful Amber. Send her lots of love. Send her cat pictures because she loves cats.
She loves cats, and her cat's always in a big flower.
Yeah. I'm very excited because we've nearly got all of our character art finished from a wonderful artist called Condestra. Hestia's just been done. Marcus is in the works right now. And I'm very excited to get to share that soon. And the shopping trip, I think, is really important for all groups because it's the first time that you get to choose something beyond your basic gear that is really informed by who your character is. You get to have social encounters, which are always a nightmare. And the funny thing is we literally only bought fabric. We did not buy anything useful like, you know, knives or weapons.
leather is useful.
I mean, I did get stuff that I stabbed best for Marcus. Because we have to protect our boy hero at all costs so that he becomes a man hero.
Oh my god, you're going to be Crocodile Hunter. That's what you're going to turn. That's what you're going to turn into.
So yes, I look forward to next time when we, I think, are going to go further. I was going to say on an adventure, but I was going to say further on an adventure.
Yeah.
As the adventure continues. And it's been great to get
talk
back
to
into
Telemachus.
and to catch back up with the plot and to meet an actual Greek hero, which is kind of insane. So yes, come back next week, support the Academy. I'm sure Alice has a lot of plugs. If you are enjoying the show, don't forget to check out the Discord, post questions if you want, tell us your favorite parts, because that's always super fun, because people watching, I think, catch things that people playing kind of forget because we're so busy on to the next thing,
Potato Hollow has. He has.
Potato Hollow, and I think I saw Mirror Shadows doing clips. I love that. Please share all those on the Discord as well so I can see
I
them.
love the clips. The clips are amazing.
Even if I do get attacked by Hildy.
That was amazing.
Hildy had it about her. She was coming for you.
Hermes had a
Hermes has a message. But no, I'm Alice. I'm White Rabbit Pick. You need to follow all these wonderful people you see here, and also our lovely Amber, who is normally here. We do what we are starting to do is do credits at the end of shows now, and then we head over into the Discord and we can talk about our favorite bits there and chat, and it's nice chatting to you all. And thank you so much to chat as well. I'm White Rabbit Pick. You can find me there on Twitter. I do photography stuff, and when I'm not doing that, I'm here 5 days a week, DMing, playing, you name it, that's what I'm doing. And when I'm not doing that, I'm over on Tales from the Grim on our Lady Blackbird campaign with my sweet little goblin boy, and also the Highlander Cypher system campaign where I play the Celt, who has also been a little bit trained by Vikings. So What I will say now is that we're going to head over to WebDM. We're going to go say hi, go send the love over there, and check out all the links that we have in chat that are currently going up, Twitter, Discord, you name it. We couldn't do this without all these lovely players, without the chat, and without our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and also Mage Hand Press, who created Dark Matter. So we're going to head over to WebDM, send the love, keep evoking emotions, and spam it with, where is it? Where is it? It's Crouching Zyraxes Hidden Marcus is our raid cry for this. So all the love for all of you, and we will see you in a couple of hours. Bye.